Although if you talk about the impact in cities of the South, between buyers, international buyers, willing to spend $1 million, and the people that live in the city, that actually live in the city, that cannot compete in the same market again, in the same locations. And so the result is basically massive displacement. Displacement of former residents, being them tenants, being them homeowners, being them, and then I will go to the cities in the South, even more vulnerable communities like slums or other types of informal settlements. Of course, and you know very well, and I don't need to develop that, those world-class cities, and I could see them in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan in Central Asia, as well as in a Gulf country like Dubai or Abu Dhabi, or you could see them in an European city like Barcelona, or you can see anywhere. The same architectural objects being designed there, the same strategy, and the same real estate operation behind them. And Rio today is one of the new frontiers related to Olympics, and the Olympics and mega events has been one of the strategies that has been used in order to promote those urban renewal strategies. In order to be possible for this type of strategy, this very unified on a very high-level market that don't have any value of use, is just financial value. It's just, it's not a question of looking for places for people to live, as if foreign investors, they need more apartments or more office space in order to survive their business or their families. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do. It has to do only with the financial circuit and the type of value that can be added through real estate operations, using real estate and using housing as one of the means of leverage of more capital or more finances. To be possible, this unified operation, a massive unification of tenure systems under one single tenure system, which is private ownership, was promoted and also became not only the main paradigm in terms of tenure systems throughout the world, but also became one of the most promoted policies by multilateral and bilateral agents like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and other international financing institutions. That has a tremendous effect, the unification of tenure systems. So we are talking about tenure systems reforms in many, many countries in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, in order basically to reduce any bounding power, any power that existed that related people to their land, to their territories, in order to reduce that into one single system, which is the only connection somebody can have with the territory is buying or selling a piece of land or real estate in a manner which is registered in the same manner, in the same system all over the world. So that was part of a very important component of the strategy to really leave those international investments, to go freely from territory to the other territory and connect all these financial assets. So 10-year system is very linked to the fact that territory, space, became basically an asset. And all the values that it could have, and we can talk about sacred values when we talk about indigenous land, or we can talk about use values when we talk about communities that used to live in some particular neighborhood for 20, 30, 50 years, and all of that was basically whipped out in order to open ground to this one single system. Of course, it has a tremendous impact, again, in the urban scene when we talk about informal settlements. And so I will try now just to point out to some examples and to show how much the impacts in a way can be the same, but in a way also can be very different if you take the different context in which this one single paradigm of building cities and housing has been implemented over the last 2 decades. So if we take US, Europe, the North, what happened during this period was basically the dismantling of safety nets, of social policies. The example that we can see now, which is very on those days, is the example of France and the reaction and the resistance that is going on in France in order to not take out all those social rights that people used to have. But all over, you can see all over European cities, less in Nordic ones, more in UK, more in other European cities, in Germany, we can see that basically public housing, the public housing that existed was privatized. All the efforts that has been done here in the US, they are in the same direction, the idea of not having public housing anymore, not having state intervening in the field of housing, taking out state from the business and give housing as a business to the private sectors to open ground for the business to explore and to adopt basically an approach that everybody can have a house, and the only thing that it's needed is affordable credit. And I don't have to tell you what is the outcome of this policy. Supreme. And all the results, not only here in the US, but I can give you the example, for instance, of Spain, where the subprime crisis was tremendous. And I cannot, and of course, and this is a crisis that affected a lot, a whole range of segments, but of course, the most vulnerable are the most low-income population, and not only low-income, but we can see here in the US that the crisis and the subprime crisis disproportionately affected Afro-American and Latino communities as compared to the other groups. And the same thing in Spain. People that are affected by foreclosures are basically migrants from Latin America as well. So at the same time, the strategy has been in those locations in Europe as well as in the United States to open ground of the former location of public houses in order to be part of the whole strategy to renovate and to promote urban renewal in the cities. And especially, this is especially true for those very well located